What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Oval. Welcome back. So spring break just passed. Missed you guys, by the way. But how was it, guys? What'd you guys do? Anything interesting? Fun trips? Yeah?
Fun spring break.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I went to a couple concerts back at home. So I saw Baby Keem. I saw Tyler, the Creator, the Call Me If You Get Lost tour.
Nice.
And I saw Tame Impala, the
Nice.
Slow Rush.
Yeah.
Right? The Slow Rush.
You got a favorite out of those three? That's sick, by
okay,
the way.
a
Three
lot of
in a
them-
row?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
back-to-back days.
Yeah.
And then me and Tess went to Tame together.
Awesome.
But
So cool.
It was that concert was the coolest experience because of the light show. It's basically like a light show, but he's also performing with a band, and then you're just like in
It's
awe
great.
the entire time.
I would recommend
Crazy.
seeing Tame Impala even if you know one song, even if
Yeah.
you don't know any songs.
Literally,
it's like
just
it's an
go and
entire
become a
different
fan.
experience. It's like
Yeah.
a different type of concert.
So
it's a show.
Their visual vibe matched like the
Oh,
music.
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Completely.
Oh,
They had this like big orb thing with like
Yeah.
a rainbow that was like shooting.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Great
about-
experience.
What about
Yeah.
you guys? What'd you guys do over break?
I binge watch movies all spring break. I
Yeah.
was relaxing. I was at home.
Anything good?
I watched The Great Gatsby. Have you ever seen that?
The one with DiCaprio in it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
almost
Good one.
cried.
Yeah, I love
Because
that
the
movie.
ending is so sad. Because the point of the movie is that he's a poor kid. He becomes rich to find the love of his life, and then the love of his life end up betraying him because of a whole incident with a killing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just sad. It made
You
me
ever read the
cry.
book?
Yeah.
It's great,
I
right?
read it in like high school.
Yeah, me too.
So
It was
that's
an
how I got
assignment.
involved. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite. It was one of the better assignments in
Yeah.
high school for
I
for
never
book
read
read.
it,
For,
yeah.
So good.
It was really good.
We gotta get on it, Alexa. We
Yeah,
gotta
I
read
know.
it. I've watched
Book
the
club,
movie.
book club.
Book club. Oval book club.
Yeah.
Let's do it. How about you? You do anything over break?
I basically just hung out at home,
Nice.
and I live on a dairy farm, so I milked cows with my dad.
Nice.
I didn't get
Oh,
kicked in the
yeah.
face this time, so that was nice.
That's great.
This time.
I swam at a local pool, and I worked on stuff for school, so nothing
Sweet.
crazy.
Great. Awesome. Happy to hear it. I went to the St. Patrick's Day parade. That was fun. That just passed.
In the city?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
How was
Yeah.
that? Any fun stories?
Oh, it was great. Alexa, it was great. So I was there from about 2 to, I caught the last train at 1:50, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
good. Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a little rainy, but I mean, it wasn't that cold. It wasn't as cold
parade?
as up here, huh?
Oh, I
You see
bet.
the parade?
Yeah, I saw the parade.
take
yeah.
pictures?
Yeah, I did take pictures. I made a little TikTok. It's fun.
Ah,
I
Check it
didn't
out.
see
swing the link,
Yeah.
would you?
What's your TikTok?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, actually
Shawnee
take
SPK.
Shawnee SPK.
Shawnee SPK.
Follow
Shawnee
it.
SPK.
Follow.
Don't forget about that. So I heard something interesting that they're trying to like take away the whole daylight savings thing, and they're trying to like Congress is trying to pass an actual bill about
That's
this.
crazy
You know,
to me.
that's the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You like that?
What do we think? Yeah.
I mean,
what
I
do we
heard the
think?
Senate has passed it, so it's
Oh, they
gotta
passed
go through
it.
the House.
Oh,
and then
okay.
It has to be signed into law, but I
think
feel like
there's
it
a
had
good
unanimous
chance.
support.
Yeah.
So I think that hopefully by November 2023, they said it would be into effect.
That's fairly soon.
Yeah.
I just don't even get why it started in the first place. Like, does
Ah,
someone
you
know?
can explain that.
Farming.
Enlighten me.
Well, basically, the whole idea was that you were increasing the amount of time, like daylight time, that was available during working hours, traditional like 9 to 5. However, like farmers, that doesn't usually help us. You're going from sun up to sundown. It doesn't matter what time within those hours. You're just gonna keep going. So it's made to help people, and it doesn't really help people. It just irritates people. So.
Yeah.
There's really no point in it. We might as well just get rid of it, especially
Yeah.
in 2022,
I agree.
2023.
Yeah.
So what does the bill consist of? Like,
It's literally so you know how we go spring forward and fall back.
So there's
Yeah.
Just
more
take that away.
Yeah,
daylight.
you just stay the same the whole
So
year.
for how it is right
Nothing
now, how
changes.
it like the sun sets at like what, like 6 or 7, right? Pretty late. It'll be like that for the rest of our lives,
That's so awesome.
which would
Right.
definitely decrease the percent of people who have seasonal depression because of the
Yeah.
amount
Yeah,
of
that's-
daylight,
that's
which
the
is going to be
thing.
incredible for
Right.
people who
I
have
don't know
it.
about that. Seasonal depression?
Yeah.
Yeah.
really
It's
have that?
I get
yes, of
sad
course.
In the
Mo-
colder season.
depression
Darker.
rates are higher in the winter because there's less sunshine,
literally-
less
It's also
daylight.
worse
I
in
could
like
agree.
higher
Less
latitudes
vitamin
because
D.
they don't have as much daylight during the winter time. So
Yeah.
they have like things called happy lights in Alaska and Canada. So
Oh,
it provides
yeah.
light for
I
people
wanna
and
buy
it
one.
reduces depression rates.
Like,
Yeah, wow.
You know
That'd be
how
fun.
in Oleana it's so cold and sometimes it gets so dark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just feel so sad
Exactly.
inside.
That's yeah.
But when,
100%.
but when the
I'm in my bag.
sun,
What it is.
when the sun come out and you feel that heat for
Yeah,
once,
you
and you
feel
feel
good.
so good. It feels
Oh, yeah,
better.
Richard.
It feels better than being in Florida. You just like, oh my God, I'm glad I'm outside. I don't have to wear a jacket. You see
Exactly.
everybody smiling.
Yeah.
I understand it.
That's,
now.
Oh
that's
yeah,
seasonal.
I
big
understand
cheese
it.
and left.
Yeah.
I remember I read something though that in like the 1970s they tried to pass the same thing. They tried to take it away, And then it did pass and everything, but within a year they reversed it because there were more like accidents in the morning because everyone was going to work in the morning, and also parents didn't want to send their kids to school like in like the pitch black dark. So it's kind of interesting that
Okay, that's an interesting
that
take.
I know, right? Because it already happened.
But I feel like the positives
Yeah.
outweigh that.
Yeah,
which I
this was
feel
like
now-
But then
1972.
why did they go back to the
Because
other?
They
were
just
so-
reversed
they
it
were-
because there were like accidents and stuff like that.
I also feel like safety precautions and the culture in the 70s probably wasn't the
Yeah.
safest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
They're
50
like,
years
alright, let's
ago.
try
Yeah.
again.
That
Yeah.
issue, a lot happened in the 70s.
Yeah.
That's questionable.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, I'm definitely down. I hate when it's like 4 o'clock and it's dark, man.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so much better when if you look outside at 7 p.m. and you still
Yeah.
see the sun. It's like, wow.
Like,
Yeah.
I could go outside and still enjoy myself in the daylight. Like, it
Yeah.
just feels
You know
nicer.
the crisis that you have at like 3 in the morning when the clock goes back or forward?
Yeah,
Oh,
and you like,
yeah.
You're literally
it
just like,
skips and you're like, excuse me.
you're like, oh my god. And then like birds
Yeah.
start chirping. Oh, it's happened to me too many times.
I'm from the city,
Mm-hmm.
so when it gets dark early, that's interesting.
right?
Because
Yeah.
like when it's dark when you come out of school, and like I'm from an area where it's not the safest. So when it gets dark early,
Yeah.
you have to be a track star.
What time do you get out of school?
So like I got to school like 2:30, but
Yeah.
but traffic and taking
Yeah.
the trains. By the time I reach home, it's dark. And
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
scary place to be.
Yeah.
Especially for
Scary
younger
city.
kids, that's
Yeah, that-
terrifying
yeah.
for parents.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know. I hope it passes though.
Yeah, me too.
Overall.
Same.
I know.
Pass it.
Yeah. Well, all right. I think we're going to take a commercial break here, and we'll bring it right back. Hopefully, it's nice and sunny by you guys right now.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. So recently, a very controversial bill was passed in Florida titled the Don't Say Gay Bill. So this is just creating a lot of like media stir and stuff. So I was just wondering what your guys' opinions were on this, basically.
I think it's the worst bill ever.
Yeah.
I think that.
You want to take us through what it is
Yeah,
exactly?
so basically, it's a law that was passed in Florida that states that up until a certain age, they don't want to talk about sexual identity, and then, gender identity and sexual
identity.
orientation. Sorry, but so they don't want to talk about it because they think that it's not appropriate for kids that are really young to be speaking about a topic like this in a school setting. Which I think is so dumb. It's going back in time. It's
Yeah.
like literally taking away everything progressive that's happened over the past couple of years with gay rights and making them become legal with the marriage and with like just everything. It should be normal. It's a normal thing to happen. So
Yeah.
the fact that they're passing this bill, it's just really it's
And
upsetting.
it's also it's very dangerous to the community in general because these children that feel like that they're in a safe space in their public school and they come out to a teacher or their fellow student or a faculty member, and because of the bill they're able to basically out them to their parents if they don't come out to their parents first, which is really dangerous because what happens if they're of course it's in Florida too, so if somebody were to report that to a kid's parents, that could potentially end up with them having to leave their home because a lot of people are not accepting of that, which is clearly horrible, but it could be incredibly dangerous, and it's not. It just feels like we're moving backwards in time, and it's really upsetting.
I just think it's wrong too that like teachers even have the right to out someone that they hear
not
like
their business.
someone say some random comment in the hallway and then they can have that in their head and then be like, oh, I'm gonna go tell that kid's parents that someone
Yeah.
said that about them. Like people just say things all the time. Like
It's not.
and
it
the
shouldn't
fact
be
that you're
something
able
that's their
to
business.
yeah, like imagine then telling a parent that I think your child's gay, and then the parent being like,
Yeah.
okay, and then they're not, and then it's just like what? Like why does that even have to happen? Like anyway, it's ridiculous.
I don't know too much on this topic, but I feel like it's a conversation no matter what the age you're at, that you should have that conversation because, like, everybody, of course, they obtain information at a different level. You don't have to force everything onto a kid about the LGBT community in that world, but you could because kids are smart and they know, and some of these kids have parents a part of that community, so just taking that away from them is kind of weird to me, and I feel like there should be a different way to go about it. It shouldn't even be something that exists anyways. Like the rules shouldn't even exist to me.
Kids are some of the most adaptable and understanding people. Like if one of their classmates says something and they're like, oh, I'm this or this, the kid is probably just gonna be like, okay, let's go play at recess. They don't really care.
Yeah,
Kids
let's
aren't
build blocks.
discriminatory.
They're not gonna say anything.
Like there was the brown eyes, blue eyes study in the I think it's 1970s, and it was a study on discrimination, and it was done by a third grade teacher named Jane Elliott. And I feel like it's really similar to this. Like kids can learn about these things at a young age, it makes them so much less likely to engage in like discriminatory behavior and prejudice. And taking that
basic
away,
logic.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you teach them young, they'll have it for the rest of their life.
Exactly, and you're
Exactly.
taking
It won't
that
ever
away.
be out of the norm
And
for
instead, you're
them.
making it something that's so, like, you can't say that, you can't talk about that in school.
Yeah.
You're gonna instead increase
Yeah.
prejudice and discrimination.
But with this bill like being passed and everything like that, a lot of good things have come of it, which it's
the
not
community,
for the
yeah.
community, not actually with the bill itself, but like there's a lot of walks happening, there's a lot of protests happening, like people are coming together and like supporting like gay rights and like pride and everything like that. So that's a really good thing. Like you see it, I see it all over my For You page, like walkouts of
Yeah.
school, like just everywhere in Florida. So it's not that like the people that this is happening to, like the civilians of Florida, like are supporting the bill,
Yeah.
you know?
I want to add on to what you were saying because like the child mind is still developing. Of course, we are still, some of us are still in the, we all are still in the development stages when it comes to our brains. Yeah. So it's like you're teaching these kids and you're trying to tell these kids that this is bad.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna cause hatred amongst this next generation that's coming up,
Yeah.
and that's the opposite of what we are trying to portray here at the Oval, and what
Yeah.
hopefully the country is trying. So, like we're trying to get better when it comes to dealing against hatred. So I feel like this rule, what it's called a bill.
Yes.
I feel like this bill is just another way to stir up some problems and issues
Yeah.
in our country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's also definitely a question of like a freedom of speech thing for sure. I know that obviously in public schools like it's separate or like there's like a whole different rule. But still, like I think that there's something to be said about like freedom of speech within a school in general.
Yeah, because there is some degree of freedom of speech that you have.
Exactly.
But that seems like I feel like it should fall under that because
Yeah.
it's something extremely
It's
personal. Your
it's
sexual
your-
orientation is
yeah.
something.
That's
It's
not
personal.
your unalienable rights. Like it's
Yeah.
your life, your liberty, your pursuit of happiness. Like all these
Yeah.
things that you're taking away from young children, from God forbid a teacher. Like
Yeah, it
you're-
doesn't even go just for children. Like it's teachers too. Like
Yeah.
they hear
Yeah.
that
Really?
they could say it to someone if like they don't like which is
So-
just a very much like
It's just don't say gay in school.
yeah,
In school,
like just
yes.
don't say it. You can't.
In like an elementary school.
I guess I don't
think
know what the
it's,
age is.
the
that-
focus, I think, is kindergarten through third grade that you're not allowed to like talk about it. But I
But then
imagine that's going to leach
fourth
into
grade, you're just gonna,
older
like-
grades. Like
Oh yeah. Well, why
Especially-
would they start? A lot of kids are
Just
not.
doesn't make sense.
If they're brought up that way in their school, why are they all of a sudden going to start talking about it unless their parents are educating them on it?
Exactly.
It's not going to come up in conversation then at that point.
Yeah.
And then they won't learn. But this is the real world.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to control a situation that you can't control
Yeah.
because it's who you are. You know what I'm saying? You can't control who a person is. You know what I'm saying? And you're taking it away from them, and that's what this country say they're against. So it's weird that we have states that still does stuff like this.
Yeah, I remember there's like this book, or I don't remember if it was like a TV show or something, but I like watched the speaker talk about it, and it was like teaching kids how like to point out like the differences and things. So like it was like a bunch of like you always tell like kids to like point out the difference in this photo, point out the difference in this photo. That's like basically what you're doing, like point out the different people that are like homosexual or whatever it may be, and let's like put them in this box. And then at that kind of young age to develop like that, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
so bad.
Like,
That's
you're
so
already
detrimental.
like,
Yeah, it
creating
really is.
discrimination in a kid's mind.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you try and like say like, oh, we have all this bad stuff happening in our country. It's like, well, where do you think it starts? It starts
Yeah.
with education.
Yeah.
It starts with in the schools and like what you teach in schools.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be manipulated now with
Educators are supposed to be providing a safe space
Yeah.
for the students in those school and in their schools. And if they feel like they can't talk about certain things to certain people, like if a student feels like they need to tell a teacher for support about their sexual orientation, they should be able to do that. They should be able to talk to somebody that they would feel comfortable with. And the fact that they are risking their parents finding out just because they want someone to talk to about something, it's scary. It's sad.
Can I give you guys an example?
Yeah.
So like, okay, imagine this like second grade kid has parents that are part of the LGBTQ plus community, and then they are happy about it and they express it to their teacher. What happens? What does
They would probably tell them you can't talk about that in here, and they would be very confused. And they would say, "Why? Those are my moms." They wouldn't understand.
Okay.
Which is that's even more upsetting. Is like that's how they're brought up. That's the norm to them. That's their life. And then you're gonna have a teacher telling you can't talk about that.
Yeah.
Which is like that's gonna make that child feel incredibly uncomfortable in a space that's supposed to be safe.
I think that on the bright side, we were talking about this in my psychology class today because we're talking about implicit bias. Our generation is one of the least discriminatory, has the least bias based on previous studies and standards. So the likelihood that once our generation is in legislation, is in education, that this is going to be carried out, I think is so low, and that as we grow up and we have families of our own, our children would hopefully be significantly less, as we're going through time, bias is going to decrease, and hopefully this bill will be turned over.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
That's the
Yeah.
country. That's the whole country's problem. Is
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is that everyone in office is over 60 years old, and not that that's a bad thing, but does that really make sense? No, you can't even be an
they're
air traffic
considered
controller at
unemployable.
past
Yeah.
55.
Yeah.
So why would you run the United States
Exactly.
of America?
You're considered
Past
unemployable
55.
after 70 years of age because of mental, decrease in mental function and
Exactly.
physical. And but no, we can have old homophobic people in office being guess what? We got a new thing to put out.
They're so stuck in a time period that don't exist anymore. That's
Exactly.
how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Like,
I just
Things are
part of
changing
me-
and they're changing
okay,
rapidly.
Hot take. I
Rapidly.
think this is just a campaign tactic for the way the views of how that Florida is and how conservative they are. It's kind of whoever's in power there of their government, they're just trying
It's
to
an
make their
election year as
citizens
well.
Of course it
happy
is.
for the
Yeah.
next election.
It's
And
stirring the pot.
it's stirring the pot, and there's going to be a court case that goes to the Supreme Court, going to rule it unconstitutional. You
Yeah.
can't do this.
There's
you
no
can't
way.
not
Yeah.
say gay. What was that?
I
Come
know
on.
that's so just far gone.
It's so
like,
far out
wonder
for
who's-
I know.
I wonder
what's
who
going
sit down
on
and
right
say,
now.
yes, let's do this.
A lot of people.
Let's get the
unfortunately.
elementary involved. Let's get the
Yeah,
school.
that-
Let's get the
bring in the kids.
let's get the kids into this.
Bring the kids.
You know what?
hello?
We need our people to know that we are here and we're gonna get the kids.
I know.
Don't say gay. Don't say gay. What? Doesn't make sense.
It's really
makes me
baffling,
I know.
to say the least.
Well, it won't pass then. We're confident
mean-
on that.
We're manifesting.
Did it pass or did it?
No,
Wait,
I don't.
I believe
I
it
have
passed
no
in
idea.
It passed,
but I'm sure
it's gonna be
Going
close.
forward.
It
Hopefully
will be an overturn.
But I want to say this: a lot of stuff we say it don't pass, it won't pass,
Yeah.
and then something happens.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about same thing, same situation, I don't want to bring him up, but same thing with Trump. We say,
Yeah.
of course, he's going down. This guy is chilling. So we don't know what could happen.
You never know.
You never know.
Everything's been pretty unpredictable.
Yeah.
Everything's
I don't know
Yeah.
anything about anything.
Fingers crossed
Fingers
that it doesn't pass.
crossed.
I know. Well, all right, guys. I think we'll wrap up for tonight. I appreciate you guys watching us. Please come back next week for another episode. Bye.
Peace.